well, you raised my rates, it's your fault. And instead of people just immediately going to match their intensity level, you're able to calm down, and then that calms them down, right?
I love when you said that because it made me think. Here's really what they say. They say, "Hey, you want to explain to me why my insurance went up $50? You ruined my life, man. You ruined my life."
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the VIP podcast. Go ahead and stop right now and hit the subscribe button. Go like, maybe give me a 5-star review. Tell me how much you love me, how pretty I am today. I would love to see all those things. And I can't wait to get into this guest today. So enough about me and how pretty I am. I got to bring in my guest in Troy Korsgaden. And people want to say Garden, but it's Troy Korsgaden. Get on in here, Troy. How you doing, my man?
Doing awesome, man. How you been, brother?
I am good. I am good. How many times do you get Garden, Troy Korsgaden?
Every day.
Oh, man.
I don't worry about it anymore. It used to make me twinge, but now I don't. I go with the flow, man. But you're spot on, bro.
There you go.
You just have to tell them that, say my name with a Boston accent.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's Korsgaden.
I like it. I like it. That's a great
awesome.
way to do it.
All right, so I see you. It's much. You and I were talking off air. You travel as much as I do, or I travel as much as you do. What do you want to do? But I'm the type that when I go to a city and I find a good restaurant, and I go back the next time I go to that city, I have to order the exact same thing every time because I'm afraid. Do you do the same thing, or do you order something different every time you go?
No. I'm with you, man. Once I find something I like, and I've got my cities and my places, I like the same plate every time, and I love it when it's the same. I love it.
Right? Isn't that weird though? Like people always like, you don't want to try anything else. I'm like, no, I know what I like, and I'm good with that.
And it's comfort, right?
You
feel like you're at home. Yeah.
It is comfort.
Well, and you don't always get it. So when you go back to that city, you have to get that one thing.
That's true. There's a restaurant Chad and I just got to. We had 10 minutes between, so we went and got. And I get the same thing every time I come to Denver at Syrup Restaurant. I get a ham and cheese omelet and tater tots every single time, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, because I know it's good, and I know you can't really mess up an omelet too bad. So I'm
going to be in Denver Thursday, man. I'm going to have you text that to me. I'm going to check it out.
You should, man. It's awesome. It's right there at Vertafore headquarters. You can come on upstairs and say hi and get you a new client out of the deal. Boom. I love it. Man, I have heard you, and actually Chad has too, at different events. I've heard you speaking to lots of agencies and groups of agencies. But I know, because I'm a little behind the scenes on some of this, because you and I are personal buddies, you work with some of the largest carriers in our industry.
Wait. Before we go that far into it.
Oh, gosh.
I will say that this guy is literally like the evangelist of insurance.
It's true. And he is like dynamite on stage. If you ever get to hear this guy speak, like all of a sudden explosion happens on stage. Like, what just happened? I just loved it. And so
I'm turning red, man. I'm turning red.
That's the goal. We'll get you turning orange here soon. But so I've always heard you speak these groups, but I know you work with some of the largest carriers. And I know right now you're working with a large carrier, and I won't say who right now, but I would love to hear what strategies you're sharing with carriers right now as we're in a tough market, transitional, hard, soft, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, it's a different market than we've been in the last 10 years. What are you sharing with them to navigate this unique market of the last 3 or 4 years?
Look, man, I'm gonna make it real simple. Stay
Please.
Focused on the client. That's it. I mean, there's so much to our business. And we're over here doing this, we're over here doing that, whether you're a carrier, whether you're a broker, whether you're an large agency, a small agency, it's easy to get faked out and fooled in our business. It's easy. And now more than ever. But we got it. The North Star is the client. If you think about that and really in your heart mean it, everything else works out. And so that's really just staying focused while there's so much a tsunami of change going on. Just stay focused on what's important.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point into the tsunami of change and all of these things going on with changes in our industry. And some parts of the industry are soft, some of it are hard, some of it's this, some of it's that. What would you say is some of those big shifts right now that maybe you're seeing out there within this marketplace? And what do you think carriers need to focus on right now as they're traveling through this time?
Well, the realization that an advisor, whether that be a exclusive agent, an independent agent, it doesn't matter. People want somebody to hold their hand through the maze of madness. So let's just get it out in the open. 13, 15 years ago, consultants like me, but I wasn't one of them, like me, were saying that the agent advisor would be gone. And it's far from it. Technology is important and it plays a huge role, will continue to do so. We all know that. But people want somebody to hold their hand, and it's crazy out there, and it's not going to get less crazy. You described it. Some are soft, some are hard, but everything's in flux. And because of that disruption, people just really need reassurance. They need advice. They just need somebody to hold their hand to navigate through this. And 2025 is going to be more of the same, maybe not as radical, maybe not as surprising. But, look, things are calming down a little bit, but it's going to be choppy waters.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm one of these, and I've gone on record saying this on multiple shows I've been on, and even my own show and this show even. I believe that we're in a new norm situation. I don't think we're going to go back to a softer market or a harder market or this. I think we're in a new norm.
Yeah, agreed. It's just money really is changing everything, right? It just, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, everybody was just printing money like it was going out of style. Now everything matters. Your P&L for your money, your P&L for your time, your P&L for what type of clients you're doing business with. I mean, we can get into all of this, but when we talk to carriers, everybody's in the same ball game. I don't care how big you are or how small you are. Everybody's dealing with people issues, technology issues, underwriting issues, reinsurance issues. Nobody's immune from all of these things, and they're all coming at the same time. So it's not like one thing you're having to deal with.
Yeah.
As an industry, we need to learn how to walk and chew gum at the same time.
I completely agree. And
yeah,
I think you touched on something that, if you rewind back 4 years, 5 years almost, we had this pandemic again that nobody was immune to. We were all affected by it. We were all sitting on our couch watching Netflix. We were all at home. And I think you're in the same boat right now in this marketplace we're in. And again, whether it's the new norm or not, whether I'm right or wrong, we're all facing this together, carriers and agents. And that's the thing I wanted to get into with you a little bit is
sure.
You have carriers, and again, not all. You work with some of the best in the world. We work with some of the best agents in the world. But out there are carriers that are banging on agents' desks saying it's their fault. And there's agents banging on carriers' desks saying it's their fault. And then us technology vendors are getting blamed somehow in there. But what would you say, some advice out there for us to all kind of kumbaya, kind of work together? What do you say to carriers when you're talking about agencies that are frustrated with them? What is some of that advice that you're giving carriers? And if you have some agents listening right now, what can you tell them as far as that importance of that relationship?
Well, look, the folks that are giving a return on the investment to the carrier, to the return on investment for energy, because it's not just money, right?
Right.
There are issues that have to be dealt with. Rate is an issue. And part of that is what we get paid. I say we because I still think like I was an agent for 35 years. I owned a large agency, had a lot of people working for me. I had a big P&L, a big payroll. All of it matters, right? And we do need alignment. Carriers need to understand agency economics and broker economics. They need to understand it. And there needs to be a win-win for everybody to get the client, to put more product in every client's household, to make sure it's profitable. There's a lot of things that we need to all work on together, but it all starts with the client. If we're focused on that, then we can get what I call operational alignment, where we can all be on the same page and we can all win. And that really, we need to get back to winning together, because right now it's been a defensive game. And I would like to say it really is a reaction game. We react to everything. We react to the economy. We react to claims costs. We react to all kinds of things, technology. And we need to get on the offense, because on the offense, we're having more fun.
100%.
I would say, yeah, you got to definitely have that proactive mentality. I mean,
yes, without a doubt.
You're gonna get left behind really fast if you're always on the defensive.
Agreed.
Without a doubt. I agree.
And I know, Troy, just again, knowing you personally, I know you're a man of intentionality and a man of, you don't do anything just because. And so I'm sure that comes out in a lot in your consulting and a lot in what you talk to carriers about as they work with agents. And I know you still work with some agencies and talk to some agencies too. What is some of that, that you're talking to them about, and what is some of that intentionality you could talk to our audience about during this time and that relationship and keeping their clients first?
Well, we're not talking about any one carrier. So let me talk to the agent, advisor, their teams, brokers and their teams. Let's talk about what the carrier has to do. We, as agents and brokers, we like to go, well, if they would only do this. There's so much that a CEO has to deal with. I mean, it isn't just us. So they're dealing with all kinds of things: marketing, operational issues, delivering the product, paying the claims for the product. Commissions are a piece of that. So there's this notion that carriers are doing something to us because it's affecting us. So we got to step back and just look at the big picture, because I know agents and brokers that make a lot more money than others at a lower commission. Why is that? They run their operations very well. I know some that have had their commissions reduced and aren't as profitable. So we really need to we're in planning season, right? And planning season starts in October and it ends December 15th. And so we should look at all the leading indicators and all the lagging indicators. The lagging tell us, what happened last year, and so we can make some plans for 2025. But what are the leading indicators? What can we do more of to make us more efficient? So as agents, brokers, and team members, we really need to look at the big macro picture. They're not just doing things to us. They're retooling also, and we're retooling. We have to constantly retool and reinvent ourselves, not only to be relevant in the future, but to make a profit and to thrive into the future.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you say it that way, of like them doing something to them, because as agents are thinking that, then if they would just remember and think back to all those phone calls they get every day and their CSRs are getting every day and their account managers of their own clients yelling at them and blaming them, why are my rates going up? It's your fault. You're the one who did this. And so it all trickles downhill. They're thinking the carrier's doing something to them. They think that, the clients think the agents are doing something to them. But at the end of the day, again, we're all rowing the boat together in the same. And we even hear it on the technology side. And, that being said, I think that as you talk through some of this with technology and more technology over the last 4 or 5 years becoming a big part of carriers and agencies and their clients for that matter, do you see that as playing a huge role in the future of our industry, and in what way does that impact carriers specifically?
Well, look, I've always felt and still do that technology makes us more efficient. It's not always a lower cost. It's efficiencies. And so I need more people. If I've got 3, I'm going to need 4 or 5 going into 2025. But I don't want them doing, $2 an hour work that technology could do for me. But it's not just the expense. It truly is the efficiency, because clients, they want it all now. And they have zero tolerance for defect. So they expect everything now. They want it done flawlessly because, man, they're on edge. They're on edge because of the economy. They're on edge because they're trying to figure out where their kids are going to go to school and how they're going to pay for it. They're on edge for a lot of different reasons. And we're solutions providers, mainly for security and peace of mind. And peace of mind is just that assurance that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're exactly right there. And I think there's so much. One of the things that I remember, you told a story, I don't know if it was on air, or you and I were just talking about when you had your agency, as you mentioned, for many, many years. One of the things that you used to do, and again, things haven't changed that much, but after your clients would meet with you, you would walk them to their car. Do you remember this? I mean, I know this is true, but you told me this. And I've never forgotten that. And some people think technology is going to replace me. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. But I think it offers you an opportunity to be able to do more of those types of things. And I guarantee you, every other agency you competed with, not every one of them walked their clients out to their car and made sure they had that, white glove treatment.
But technology allows me to do that because
100%.
It's doing other things, right? It's maybe in the back room, maybe in the front room. I don't care.
Right.
But it's allowing me that extra 2 minutes.
Yep.
And we call it Ritz-Carlton service. I stay in hotels. I'm at a Hilton Garden Inn here in Wichita today. But, a week from now, I'll be in a Ritz-Carlton. The difference between a Hilton Garden Inn, which is a good hotel, and a Ritz-Carlton is they'll walk you to your room and they'll put the key in the door for you. Yeah. That's the difference, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't cost them any money. It just costs them time. And so that little extra experience that you're talking about, I'm glad you brought it up. We don't just point to the door and say, find your way out, walk you all the way to your car. And it's more personable, but it only took an extra 2 or 3 minutes to walk them all the way to the car versus the door.
And like you said, that technology allows people to be able to do those things and do them more effectively, more efficiently, and again, being able to build that relationship. And I think some people get confused by that. And again, they go into, tech's going to replace me, or this is going to happen, or that. And so, I think go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was going to tell you because what you're saying is so spot on. There was a guy that I used to read a lot. His name was Jim Rohn, Rohn. And I met the guy. He was awesome, right? But I'm telling you that all these things, Jim talked about it. People want to know that you care about them.
Yeah.
But without technology, we wouldn't have time, because it's really, Jim said this, we all have 24 hours in a day. Rich people have 24 hours. Poor people have 24
right.
hours. Rich people don't get through the day. They get from the day. So that technology that we were talking about helps us get from the day so we can do the high value things like walking them to their car, returning their call immediately instead of 2 days from now. It really, if you're not using technology, you're not in the game. If you're relying only on technology, you're not in the game. We're still a people business. Technology enables us.
100%.
And so I'm high on technology.
Yeah, and I'm high on relationships. I know you are as well. And so is Vertafore, and we care a lot about those relationships.
Right.
And it's why we do what we do, not to just build cool tech, which we do, but we also do it to help you guys, help carriers, help agents, help MGAs to further those relationships. And so going back to,
well, I would say even not only that, but you're able to tell your story better.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes,
that's awesome.
Yes.
And people connect to that. They connect because that's part of the relationship. You tell stories, you share in other people's experiences. And I think that's one of the ways that you use time to your advantage.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
No, I love that. And you talk about, going beyond just that transactional, experience and the dollar sign, so to speak. And so you brought up and again, it's been, 30 years since you probably walked the last client out the door, like that. But things haven't changed that much. And so how, any other examples or any other ways that our agents or carriers can go beyond that transactional and show that, it is more than just dollar signs?
Hey, I think you just called me old.
I did not. I did not. You started when you were 10.
It's been 14 years, and I was an agent owner along with my sister for 35 years.
Oh man!
And in my career, it's the most satisfying thing I ever did. I love what I do now.
Sure.
But I don't think there's any better position in our industry, in this profession, than being an agent, owner, or part of a team. So with that being said, what are some of the things that can differentiate you to be successful in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what it is. The language we use is important. Really become a student of what you say. And I love that part about the stories. You brought that up, is just, telling the story. It's got to be real. It's got to be delivered correctly. Notice how I pause. It's got to be real. It's got to be said the right way. It's got to be with passion. But the language is important. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Somebody says, hey, I've got a question. I got a bill. It doesn't look correct. I say, I'm glad you called. That's why we're here. That'll be easy. Why don't I go ahead and set up a phone appointment for later today? That'll give me time to research your bill and make sure I have all the facts so we can go over it together. It'll be easy. Do you want to meet at 3 today, or would 4 be better for you? We can do a phone appointment. So I set up a phone appointment. I'm not going to go through the whole process, but you get the idea. It's scripted. But I said, that's why we're here. I want them to know that they can call us anytime. Just language matters. The way you say things matter. Now, I set the phone appointment because it does allow me not to react. Because most people listening to this, and you'll nod your head if you're listening to me, is you're with somebody and you're trying to help them with a presentation and the phone rings and nobody's there to answer it. So you answer it, you react. They say, I got a billing issue, and now you got to choose between the person you're presenting to and the billing issue. We all need to just stop and reassure the person we're talking to, hey, I don't have to say I'm busy right now. I just tell them, let's go ahead and set up a phone appointment. It implies we're together. Phone appointment is professional. It allows me time to get the answer and formulate a response. And the response is calmer, it's easier. And after all, that's what they want. They want security and peace of mind. So just to land the plane here, there are little things like that don't cost us any money, right? We're investing in technology to make us more efficient, but we need to work on our skills so we can be proficient at the way we say things, our systems, our tools, our processes. All of them can be done with minimal effort if we think it all out.
And again, that goes back to everything you just did, everything you just talked about was an intentional script that you've thought through.
Yeah.
And whether you're a carrier listening, you could do the similar thing,
yeah.
MGA, yes. An agency, yes. Talking to an upset client, whatever it might be. And I think that's incredible. So, guys, rewind that back about a minute and a half and listen to that again and again and again. And, I think a big thing you showed there was that inflection in your voice, the timing and the way you said that, the pauses in certain places. Again, goes all back to that intentionality and being proactive in that and not reactive, immediately like taking defense when they call and say, well, you raised my rates, it's your fault. And instead of people just immediately going to match their intensity level, you're able to calm down, and then that calms them down, right?
I love when you said that, because it made me think, here's really what they say. They say, hey, you want to explain to me why my insurance went up $50? You ruined my life, man. You ruined my life.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with you. Look, man, I empathize with people. I buy insurance. It's gone up. I empathize with them. I also got kids in school. I've got other things that I want to do with my money. I get it. So, but I've got to be able to be calm, because there's only 24 hours in a day. I've got to think out all the things that are going to come up. So as you're doing your business planning, be thinking about people are going to be calling in. But what if we got on the offense and started calling out so we could tamp down that aggression? Because by getting on the offense, right, now they're not calling up going, hey, you ruined my life. They're going, hey, when you called me the other day, you mentioned that there's a lot of things going on in the insurance industry. So when we work with carriers, we don't just work with agents, brokers, and team members. We work with call centers, inbound. We work with call centers outbound. We work with them all because we're all singing from the same songbook.
Yeah, I love that. And, it's good for the audience to know that you're not just working with certain, like you're working like the entire, scope of the industry there. But you brought up some things there that I wanted to get into really quickly before we have to show. God, it's gone so fast.
Sure.
But when you talk about agency growth strategies, at Vertafore, we're lucky enough to touch every aspect, from carrier to broker to MGA. So when you're talking to an audience, knowing that audience, what's one of the most overlooked growth opportunities for carriers and agencies and MGAs today? I mean, you talk a lot about growth opportunities. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, retention or new business. But is there anything else in there, or is it just that simple?
Well, it's always been that simple, but let me take it a step further. I mean, we all want to retain our good business. And by the way, 2025 is going to be a huge year, not for quotes only, but for people being in play. I mean, truly in play. They're looking for something. And one of the things they're looking for, price is an issue. Anybody who says it isn't is a liar, but it's not the top issue. They want value. So it's really looking, number one, who is our client? Who do we want? Because, you attract what you are and you go after the business that you want. So business development, we teach that to both carriers and also to agents, brokers, and team members. You've got to go after the right people. And you got to put more product in every household that you serve. So carriers that are multi-line, that don't only have one product, but they have multiple, it's easier for the agency or the broker to service a household that has 4 lines of insurance versus 4 people with 1 line of insurance. Now you multiply it by 1,000. If I've got 1,000 clients with 4 lines of insurance, it's easier for me to service. 4,000 with 1, it's not easy to service, and it's the same commission. So what is the model? I'll leave you with this. What is the model we want to have? Do we want a model where we can serve people with more if we have the products? And there are some companies that only offer 1 product. That's great, right? Maybe it's farm. Maybe it's some type of business policy. But a lot of the listeners here, if they're carriers, have multiple products. They want all their products represented. For agents, brokers, and team members, this is not negotiable. You want to have it all because it's just easier to service. It's more profitable for the business model to have 1,000 people with 4 lines or more. And I didn't say policies, lines of insurance, because there's 10 sales opportunities in every household and or business we serve. 10. And most of us only have 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So we could sit here and talk about all of Troy's wins and all these wonderful, things like that, and really shoot a lot of sunshine, your way. But I'd love to know, along the way, you've probably had some bumps and bruises and challenges and whatnot. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned, or one of the biggest lessons that you've learned that's changed your career and just helped you along the way? As we wrap up here, if you wanted to give me a little bit of that.
Such a powerful question. Look, I've written 8 books, soon to be 9, on my successes. I could have written 21 on the stupid things I've done. I really could have. And they'd all be bestsellers. These are the things you don't want to do. Don't do like Troy did, right?
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, is looking back at my entire career, is I am now peaceful. My life isn't perfect by any means, and I don't claim for it to be. But I'm in the moment, and I go with the flow. I'm very intentional, as you know. You and I are friends. I'm very intentional, but I give it my all, and then that's it. I give it my all. I give everything my all. So with that being said, if you're listening to me, really, I don't think there's been a better time to be in our business. Never. And I've been in this business since 1983.
Now you called yourself
I know what
old.
it's like for a company to give me a big old book of business called the phone book.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And I know what it's like to scratch it all the way out. I know what it's like to go to the top and then get knocked down to the bottom and rebuild myself all the way up as a person, as a human being. So my life lesson is this: be grateful for what you've got, and just look at every day and begin from here, right at this moment. Begin from here, because there's never been a better time to be in our profession.
Oh my gosh, I'm fired up right now. And it's funny, my wife and I have been reading this book about, mindset and about, being in the moment right now. We're teaching our kids about this and whatnot. So that was perfectly well said there.
Thank you.
Of, being in that moment, starting from right here, not yesterday, not last week, not last year, not 10 years ago, and wishing it were this way or that. Start from now. I love that. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
I will say this. I didn't call him old, and he doesn't look old. So
Right. He called himself when he threw out there
Yeah.
1980 something.
Yeah.
But that mindfulness, it's such a good way to end this. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, man. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. I've been excited and giddy all day to get to talk to you. And so, again, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you again soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today on the VIP podcast. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Find Troy. Troy, you're on LinkedIn. You're on Facebook. You're on all kinds of things. What's the best way? The best way?
Link in with me. Go to Korsgaden.com, Korsgaden.com, but link in with me also.
Perfect. Yeah, make sure you go to that website. If you're looking for a good consultant, reach out to this guy and his team. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.